class in 2015. Thank you for participating and being part of our audience. And I'm so excited because this is something that we'll be doing every month, and we've got our topics listed in our PSC calendar. And this first one, I'm proud to say, and I'm doing it right from a salon in Davenport, Iowa, Bella Hair Salon, and the owner is Catherine Newberry, and it's one of my favorite little boutique salons that we represent, and it's just darling. So, Catherine, thank you for having us. Am I ready?
Good to go.
Good. So Brian is facilitating because my topics.
I'm going to apologize. The slides lost their background.
They did?
But all the content is there.
That's okay. Okay. So our background on our slides, so now we're going to look a little boring, huh?
We are.
But that's okay. No apologies necessary. All right, so here we go. Can you go to the next slide, Brian?
Sure can.
All right. Years ago, Steve and I were golfing, and Ernie Banks just happened to be at the club that day that we were golfing at. And when we were done with golf, we came into the little hot dog stand. And Steve looked and he said, "My God, that's Ernie Banks." Now, those of you that may or may not know Ernie Banks, Hall of Fame baseball player, played with the Cubs for 18 years, and they called him Mr. Baseball and Mr. Sunshine. So with that being said, what was his reputation? Mr. Baseball. Must have been happy all the time. Powerful. So Ernie came in, and we were sitting there, and he said, so like everyone does in the golf club, they're going to say, how'd you play today? How'd you play today? And I said, oh, God, I played awful. I'm so frustrated. He said, do you mind if I ask, how often do you play a year? And at that time, I was probably playing 3 to 6 times a year. That's it. And he said, my dear, you can't be frustrated with your game if you only play 3 to 6 times a year. That's barely a hobby. That's barely a hobby. You're allowed to be frustrated when you play a sport every single day because you're giving it your all. And every single day when you play a game, that's when you can get frustrated because you have a responsibility to play better every day because you owe the fans. And I think that's my next slide, isn't it, Brian? I've got to be able to see the slides. I'm walking around now. When you look at playing and how Ernie explained it to us is when you play something that's barely a hobby, how can you have expectations when you don't do it very much? How can I have better expectations that day of golf than I do of something I do every single day? Like all of you maybe behind the chair or the owners or managers that are running the business. We do that every day and we don't get frustrated with our performance. But I'm going to golf only 3 to 6 times a year and I'm going to get frustrated? That doesn't even make sense. And one of the things that he said is and I'm having a hard time here. One of the things, can you go to the next one?
Sure.
He said, I owed it to playing every single day playing baseball. I owed it to the fans, to the team, and to the game of baseball to improve and work on my game every day. That's who I owed it to. And so when we look at you as hairdressers, you owe it to your guests, to the team that you work with, and the game of beauty to work on you every day. That's when we can get frustrated. But some people, what I get concerned about is they'll have a horrible day behind the chair and they go home and they're not even frustrated. How can you not be frustrated that you had a bad day behind the chair? And so I'm not hitting the ball in the golf game and I'm frustrated, but I can do terrible, terrible work and not be frustrated? That doesn't make sense to me. So think about the times you get frustrated, whether, let's say, you're bowling or golfing or karaoke and you didn't sing very well that night. But I want you to take those same kind of disciplines and put it towards your career. All right? So when you think about 2014 and 2015, you might say, well, what does this for the love of the game or the love of the craft or the love of baseball have to do with planning out 2015? And I can tell you everything. It has everything to do with it. Because as we plan, first of all, we need to recap 2014, what worked, what didn't work. And I just got off a flight, and I love that in the United Airlines Hemisphere magazine, the chairman wrote a letter. Dear passengers or customers, this is what we accomplished on your behalf in 2014, and this is what you can look for from us in 2015. And I say to all the owners and managers out there, I would really suggest you put a recap letter of your efforts of 2014 and what they can expect. In the salon we're at today, they're launching a blowout bar, right? in 2015. And why are we doing it? And what can they expect from us would be in your letter of introduction. And it could even be in a newsletter form. But you want to thank people for the past and tell them what they can expect from the future. When we look at the salon, and some people say, well, I have not even thought about what I want people to experience from our salon in 2015. Well, let's talk about some ideas. I think we could talk about, all right, what are our themes for 2015? I'm going to give you some ideas later. What are our themes that they can expect from us? How many open houses are we going to do in 2015? What are we going to do as far as our business development in 2015? We might be adding technology in order to serve them better in 2015. We are going to be doing different audits in 2015 to make sure that we are managing our traffic, that our guests are happy here. We're going to be using technology to assist our business. These are just some of the things, and we're going to go into more detail in just a moment, but these are some of the things that we're thinking about to better serve our customers in 2015. Even in this Hemispheres article, it talked about the technology that United Airlines is putting in place in 2015 to assist. And I'm going to give you and provide you some technology ideas for this year as well. When I think about the guests, what are the guests looking for and from you in 2015? When we sit down and say, what do they want from us? At this salon, we're going to put in a blowout bar. But what are some of the other things? Well, first of all, they want a service expert. We know that. And I've been thinking about, in business, they have spiritual coaches, life coaches, fitness coaches, nutrition coaches. What other coaches have you heard of in life? And what we want to be in 2015 at this salon is we want to be your hair coaches. Do they know as much about cleansing as we do? Do they know as much about conditioning as we do? We could have a month just on the cleanse, here and there, which is their home. We could do a whole month that we're going to educate our guests all about conditioning and why it's so important. Some people don't condition because they think it weighs the hair down. So maybe they don't have the right conditioner, but everyone should condition. We're going to talk about treatments here and there. We're going to talk about the cut, and we're going to educate about cutting and shape phase. We're going to educate about color. We're going to educate about professional take-home. We're going to educate to educate. We are going to be their hair coaches or their nail coaches or their skin coaches. We have a responsibility. Coaches always have to tell the why to help the student become wise. So we have to tell the whys, W-H-Y''S, so they become W-I-S-E. So you tell the whys so they become wise. Make sense? So you always, even with children, you're going to say, I don't want you to run in the street, and here's why. And once they know that they could be hit by a car, they become wise. Right? Good. Okay. We want them to know that we are going to be current. Our guests want us to know that we're current. So how do we display to them that we are current? I think about all the magazines, whether it's InStyle, Vogue, Glamour, all the ones that you enjoy. And every single month, they're telling us current trend. Where are we displaying current trend, current fashion, current cuts? These magazines are on the tables. But if we were to do a campaign right now for 2015, a storyboard, and even in this salon, Catherine, maybe it would even be on this wall right here. But perhaps we did a storyboard every single month, and this became a huge bulletin board or a whiteboard showing what current is. And so when a customer comes in, we've already shown them the homework we've done. We've ripped out every hair or current trend in makeup, current trend in nails, current trend in hair, current trend in color, and we have a storyboard right up here showing them we're committed to current. They want to know they're in good hands with you, and how we do that is positioning ourselves. The guest also wants to know that you're celebrating your craft. So how are you proving in 2015 that you're celebrating your craft and you're celebrating your craft with them? Thus, an open house. Thus, when you launch a new product, you create a party of some sort so they're in on that new release. You might want to do an open house that's talking about something that we learned at a new educational event. Maybe it's a new technique. But we create these roundtables. You might even want to create a focus group with your top customers and launch to them first, get their ideas, and then launch to your entire base. That's what's neat about celebrating with your customer, is they become involved. And you'd say, will you be on our advisory committee for the next 3 months? And what we're going to do is we're going to give you services as well as get your input. So you can play with them and have them part of the celebration. And then how are you showing gratitude to your customers in 2015? How are we thanking them? I always use this example, but it still holds true for me. The amount of guests that I would send to a hairdresser, and I would have to walk in and say to them, did Cheryl Bell, I sent Cheryl Bell here, and the hairdresser would say, Cheryl Bell, I'm not recalling who that is, and I'd say, she's a teacher, blonde hair, very fine, and she is, oh, yeah, Cheryl Bell. I sent a guest to you. How do you show gratitude for that? And so many times, we'll take care of guests and a new request, but the whole operation, number one, doesn't know it's a new customer to the salon. Number two, we didn't thank the person properly that sent them to us. How do we make sure that we pay the gratitude necessary to people as they help build our reputation in the community, right? Gratitude in 2015. The next thing is, what are all the services that we could be providing? And I'm going to map all this out to you at the end. We're just doing the topics now. When it comes to service, what new things are the guests looking for in 2015? So we could probably do a processing menu. So when they're processing, I tell this story all the time, that I receive 7 services in the business. I receive cut, color, manicure, pedicure, waxing, facials, massage. Facials and massage not as often as I'd like. Facials probably every month or every other month. My favorite service, and there's a have to and a love to, and I hope I can illustrate this during this call. My number one have to service is color. And I get color every 3 weeks, and I hate it. I hate it because I have to, because I'm 90 or 80% gray. So it's not a want to, it's a have to. I love when it's done, but I hate that I'm reminded that I'm 80% gray every 3 weeks. Does that make sense, everyone? So, and they're nodding here, just if you want to know if they're in the room really. So it's my least favorite service that I have to get the most often. My favorite service, my absolute love affair service, is a facial. So if you look at my least favorite on a scale of those 7 services, hair color would be number 7 in my love factor. So how do you, as a salon, make my least favorite that I have to get the most often enjoyable for me? How do you do that? I don't want to get color every 3 weeks, but I have to. So how do you make that enjoyable for me? Do you do other things? While I'm processing, do you do a hand massage? Is there a processing menu that you can do? Because waiting those 35 or 40 minutes, I hate. How can you maximize in making that an option? Do you always offer waxing while I'm processing? So I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That's my second least favorite, is waxing. But do I get a polish change as an option? Because that would kill 2 birds with 1 stone again. Create a processing menu that you can capitalize on the downtime. Don't think I'm okay just because I'm reading a magazine. What else? And so you create a processing menu that the guests could indulge in, right? There's a wash house menu. Maybe there's different kind of shampoos, signature shampoos, that you create within your salon that a guest could upgrade and enjoy. Demand Force is a service that some of you may or may not have right now, but it's one that will allow you to connect with the customer easier, and the guest will be able to receive information and updates from you through Demand Force. Millennium, it's just one software example, but what are they doing in 2015 that will enhance your services to your guests? The additional services, the additional products that you're going to be offering in 2015, the service-to-team ratio. How many people do we need here to service our guests perfectly? Some of you say, if we don't have 3 assistants on, it slows down our service. So what is the ratio, and what are you committed to making sure the guest is properly served? And when we look at the support team, whether it's the front desk or the assistant staff, what does it take to create this well-oiled machine? When do we know that we're understaffed? We went to a place to dine last night, and they were very understaffed. And they thought a cute face and an, oh, I'm sorry, was enough because they said, oh, we got slammed tonight. So sorry, I haven't been here yet. That's not my problem. The restaurant's supposed to protect the amount of staff that needs to be there to service properly, right? An apology doesn't make it okay. And just like in the salon, if I need to get in and be serviced properly and you're double or triple scheduling, it's not my fault you extended your service beyond your means. Not my fault. That's your job. Hospitality, the service that people want when they walk into a business. And I give the example that Steve and I were in Hawaii at a Paul Mitchell Distributors meeting over this last week, and with a young lady that knew the restaurant, knew the steps to offer the service to the customer. She knew when you were dining. She knew when you needed to place an order. She knew when your soda or water needed to be refilled. She did the steps right, but she never connected with the guest. See, you can do all the steps right, but never make eye contact. You can do all the steps right. She looked at the table. She never looked at the customer. She looked at the table. How often does that happen, that we look at the hair, but we never look at the individual? So customers are looking for a high degree of hospitality. And hospitality is not always something that's natural to people. You either have to learn it or you're going to lose. Hospitality is that care factor and being able to connect with someone heart to heart, eye to eye. And this young lady, her speed and her pace were good, but she could not connect at all with her guests sitting at the table. When I look at team and what we need to do in 2015, do we need to recruit? Do we need to scout? Do we need to find more people to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish here? Trish, I know in your salon, you're going to be scouting for new people, right? How do we find the talent that's going to complement what we have already? Not be an interruption, but complement. And how does this team create a sense of attraction that you're going to bring the right people on? Because bringing the wrong person on can create a real problem. Steve and I were in a class, and Magic Johnson came in, and he started speaking to the group. And I stood up, and I asked Magic a question. I said, Magic, what did you do when you were with the Lakers, when a rookie came in with all the talent in the world, just a natural-born, great basketball talent, but his head got in the way? What did you do? He said, we got rid of them as quickly as possible because we couldn't afford the distraction to our team. Sometimes in salons, we have someone with all the natural ability to be a great addition to our salons, but their head gets in the way. Whether the head is wrong attitude, too big of ego, sense of entitlement, the ego can get in the way of them being able to perform the service. This basketball player probably didn't think he needed to show up to the conditioning sessions. Maybe he didn't show up to practice on time. Maybe he didn't pass the ball. Maybe he didn't understand. And the Lakers couldn't afford that. One of the things that I hear about Magic all the time is that he was such a team player, that everyone that played with him knew his commitment to the team was more important than his commitment to self. And in salons, we have to make sure that when we're recruiting in 2015, that it's going to be a commitment to the team and that we're finding someone that complements already what we've created. The next thing is orientation. When they start with us, we're going to incorporate a great orientation in 2015. How do we create orientation versus this is just day one? We're going to purposely put in place an orientation that helps them feel welcome and connected. Everyone hates being new. That first day is awful. You think, gosh, do I like it here? Do I really like these people? Is anyone weird? I'm looking for weird. And what you want is, on that day of orientation, is to help them feel comfortable. If we were to have someone stay at our home for the weekend, we'd make sure their towels are out. We'd make sure that maybe their magazines that they like or books in there. We'd make sure they had a night light. We'd make sure that we had all the little extras in their room. Maybe we put some flowers in their room to make them feel more comfortable. That's what orientation is. It's how allowing people who are going to be a guest at first in this business, even though they're working there, they feel like a guest until they feel like one of us. Train and develop. We're going to have a commitment to train and develop this talent. It's going to be purposeful, not just go watch Rachel Rachel does it right. If you watch Rachel, you're going to make it, versus here's your training schedule. This is what we're going to be working on. In-salon education, off-site education we're going to schedule. We're going to train them the way that we do business here. And we're going to put this in our 2015 outline too, which you'll see in a moment. Service and dialogue standards. This is how we say it here. This is how we serve here. And we've got a culture that we're going to protect, and we're going to make sure that our culture is specific in 2015, that it's just not happening subconsciously. The next category is systems. And once we do all these categories, then we're going to put it into a timeline for 2015. The systems that we're going to work on in 2015 perhaps could be our software updates. Once again, Demand Force or Millennium. We're going to change our service procedures, check in and check out. Emma's about to get braces, our daughter, and I took her to the orthodontist. And one of the things when I walked in, they had an iPad there where you automatically checked in that you were there on your own. You didn't have to go to the front desk staff. Even though they were there, check-in was done on an iPad. Maybe that's something you want to incorporate in your salon. I thought it was really neat that they were using technology to assist. Technology can assist the check-in, the check-out, maybe scheduling, and then pricing. We're going to change our pricing maybe in 2015. These are just examples. You probably have more that you're thinking of. Social, another category for 2015. Of course, there's Facebook. Of course, maybe our website and blogs, Instagram, Twitter, and we're going to have a commitment. Social is a category for us because sometimes we're committed to social for 30 days and then we don't look at it for another 6 months. We're going to be committed to social media and that everything are professional posts. So I would encourage everyone in here that some of the posts that I'm seeing right now are questionable under the professional topic or professional title. Sometimes people are not doing very professional posting on their individual sites. For example, I'm Terry Cowan, PSC, right? And my Terry Cowan, personally, better complement my professional site too. Excuse me. All right, next. Facility. This is the next category of everything we need to do in 2015. These are my examples. You'll put your own topics in. But some people always say, gosh, where do I start? So that's why I'm giving you all these, and then we're going to create our agenda. We need to paint and a maintenance schedule. We need to analyze our square footage of the facility. Is our stations in the right place? Are we utilizing our square footage properly? We're going to review our equipment in 2015. We're going to build a wash house. We're going to build service revenue areas like a color bar. We need to get new computers in 2015. Our front desk appearance and functionality in 2015 needs to be evaluated. We might need to create more square footage at the front desk to house 2 computers up there versus just 1. We want a fresh look of take-home in 2015. When are we going to accomplish that, and how often are we going to move that around? We want to look at our exterior appearance, and is it attractive? Do we need to do anything to create an exterior presence? And then what does our lighting look like? Does any of it need to be replaced, freshened up? And these are just some of the things for the facility examples. Now, themes. I didn't put this on the calendar, but you certainly could create them under the salon category. Themes could be friends and family. Maybe 2 times a year, friends and family get a discount on take-home. And tools. We bring them in, friends and family. Is that everyone? Yes. But we call it a Friends and Family Theme Month. We can do, which was one of my favorite ones this year, trick-or-treatment during Halloween. I love that. Isn't that cute? Trick-or-treatment. So maybe October is all about treatment month. Peekaboo color. Isn't that cute too? Peekaboo. And you can do boo as a ghost, or you can just do peekaboo color and talk about 5 or 6 highlights, and we're doing a promotion on the peekaboo. We can do the theme about, and I think I made mention of it earlier, all about the cleanse here and there, not all about the bass. I just learned what that song meant. I thought it was about music. Evidently it's not. But we can cleanse here, and then how do we want them to cleanse at home? Cleanse here and there, condition here and there, treatments here and there. One of the things that, you know how someone goes, cut it out, stop it, cut it out, get out of here. Cut it out could be a great theme. Cut it out could be we're celebrating the cut. But your whole theme is cut it out. that cute? And then you could have, we're cutting loose this month. And cut loose could mean whatever you want it to be. But that also could be a theme title for getting new cuts. Making magic, hair for the holidays. So you play and start creating your own little dialogue in your salon. So when they go to another salon, they say, do you do cut it out? No, we don't. No, we have nothing here. You are going to stand out and look more specific versus generic. All right, so now let's have some fun. If we look at, now we're creating those topics that we just went through. Salon, guests, service, team, systems, social, facility. Now when you look at these, we're going to go through, and I created a mock-up one. And Catherine and Trish and staff, if you guys want to look at this more closely, you can see what I'm creating, so if you want to ask a question. So let's say in the salon as an owner, I look at that I'm going to meet with my accountant. You want to give me an opinion on this, Catherine? I'm going to meet with my accountant in January. The guest, it's all about the cleanse theme in January, let's say. We're going to do a we pledge, a service pledge. We as a team are going to write a service pledge. Our team is going to add 20 hours on the front desk in January. We're going to write our goals for 2015. We're going to do a Facebook campaign to bring in new guests. And then we're going to move our take-home area. So now in January, we know everything that we're trying to accomplish just in January. When you look at when are we going to move, you can put dates to this, but these are the things that we're going to be working on. One of the things, owners, is your staff wants to know that they're in good hands with your leadership. Your guests want to know they're in good hands with you providing the service they're looking for. When you have something like this, this also changes how you speak to your guests. In February, we're going to do a product open house. And the product open house is going to be based on the product launch that we're going to do, a new product launch. So let's say we're doing one in February. We're going to do an in-salon class about that product launch. So it all goes together. So we're going to get our team. Social is going to be about the product launch in February. We're going to have demand force, the systems support our product launch. So everything is going together. So let's look at it again. Let's say we're launching ABC product line, right? So social, everything on Facebook is going to be about launching that product line. Our website's going to be launching the product line. We're having an in-salon class in the beginning of the month because we want to be poised and ready to do that product launch. We're offering the product launch, so that's our service. It's all about the hair affair because let's say it's the hair affair is our theme because it's falling back in love with our hair, a hair affair. I know, a little corny. But all of it goes together. We're also replacing our wash house goals in February. So we have our facility on there too. If we go to March, we're not doing anything for the salon extra, but we are doing a treatment promo. And it's all going to be about the treatments that we're doing. We're doing a processing menu because treatments fall in the processing menu, right? Or what else we can do during that time. We're going to hire an assistant off-site. We're doing off-site education. That's what I meant to say. We're going to have a software update in March. We're going to do a social contest, and we're going to paint the salon. I think you're getting the gist of this. But when you create this as an owner and you're writing this is 6 months at a glance, you can do your themes, your in-salon education, your off-site education, your business education, your business strategy, and now you have your whole year at a glance, creating what you're trying to create for your salon. Your staff knows. Remember earlier I said the customer wants to celebrate with you. The customer wants to be part of what you're thinking about. So if you say, when's your next friends and family, we look down and say, we're doing one in June. How often are we living so much in the moment that we're creating 1 month at a time versus 6 months or a year at a time? And we can come together as a team and write this effort out. So when I look at salons that are just making the donuts, they haven't thought about, they say, we should do a blowout bar. All right, when are you doing it? What do you have to do to get ready to do it? Is there pricing that needs to be placed? Is there going to be a blowout menu? All of that would be launched in a certain month with all the criteria here. And social. would be involved when you launch your blowout bar as well. So everything would be taken into consideration here. When we look at developing our people, and because some of these, we could probably put a whole lot more lines in every one of these categories, but when are you going to create this timeline of their development? So it could say, this is for Monica, this is for Sarah, this is for Rachel, this is who's going to this class. Also in here, to develop our people, we could do reviews or our monthly meetings. So we've got so much we can put in this, but how many owners carry all this information around in their head? They want to get it done. Their intention is to get it done, but they don't ever put their thoughts to paper. So the staff doesn't know and the customers don't know what you're planning for 2015. So what you need to do is, and what I love about this, is it keeps me on track. When are we doing this? What is our deadline? How do I know? When you make a commitment to a customer, it's pretty exciting when you have that deadline staring right at you that you've got to get this accomplished. So what are the ideas and what are the thoughts behind these new things? What are all the steps to get that accomplished? And just taking the blowout bar that Catherine's doing, what are all the things that have to be put down and in place before that before that blowout bar is a go? And it's then specific versus generic. Can I take some questions now on this, please? Can they write to us?
They should be able to write.
How can I see them?
I'll show.
And this was just an example.
If there are any questions, they'd be right here.
So when I look at even what PSC is doing in 2015, and let me know if a question comes up, Brian. When we look at all the different months, and when we launch a product line, what do we have to do to get our in-salon educators ready? What do we have to do to get our pricing and everything in the systems back at PSC in order to be able to ship properly to you? What are all the literature and everything else that has to be in place? There's many steps before the go, many steps. And it's our job to put those steps in place, like we're going to launch this, and we're going to have this in place, and this is how we intend to better serve you. As a result, if we don't have those steps listed, we could miss a step. Someone could say, I didn't know we were supposed to send a letter. Oh, no. Get the letter out as quickly as possible. Does that happen to us? Yes, of course it does. In the meantime, you're still servicing guests and traffic in your chair. As you're growing your business, you still have to maintain the integrity of the service you're delivering. This isn't easy because you still have those 30 customers that you're going to see this week, owners. You're still trying to get it all done and create the future. It's not. This is the difference between being able to work in it and on it. And even in Catherine's situation, I know the amount of guests that you take in the salon. So it's difficult when you're saying, okay, I've got to work on the business, but I also still have to protect the traffic I bring into the business. So how do you get both accomplished? And that's when you have to take yourself out to lunch and put these thoughts down so you don't have to be behind the 8 ball. You're ahead of it. That's the beauty of creating a timeline for 2015. And as staff, you want to know, when are we celebrating color? When are we celebrating cutting? What are we doing to make a difference with our guests? When are we going to have a recruiting campaign? When are we doing a photo shoot this year? When are we going to create our open houses this year? Are we doing anything for holiday? How often do our staff ask us that? And we think, hold on, wait, hold on. Don't overwhelm me right now. I'm getting to it. That's because they want to know what your plans are for the future. And if we don't tell them what our plans are, they could think the grass is greener somewhere else.
So we have a question from Sarah Gertzby. Do you suggest having the staff help create the 2015 timeline?
I would certainly want their input. I would certainly say, what do you think the guests are asking for? Are we bored right now? Are we boring right now? How do we change it? I mean, can you imagine saying we're having 2 open houses this year? We're having one in June and one in November before the holidays. We're doing a Friends and Family in June. We're doing a Friends and Family in November. We're launching the new Paul Mitchell products in March. We're launching the new Davines products in February, and this is what we're doing and how we're launching it. We're creating celebrations. Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you bring people together and use all their minds and create this timeline, and you're writing your in-salon education and your off-site education, advanced education, and you've got social, and it's all working together, it just makes your life so much easier, and your business is flowing with purpose. We went to, while we were walking around, I was telling Steve, while we were walking around in one of the shopping areas, I had come over on the flight and saw the new Louis Vuitton ad in InStyle magazine. And it was amazing to me that when we got to Hawaii, I guess I think Hawaii would be late or something. I don't know why. Maybe because I think it's a laid-back area. But what was in the window? The Louis Vuitton campaign. It wasn't 3 years ago's campaign. It wasn't even the last issue's campaign. It was all current. That doesn't happen by accident. All the stores get the visuals at the same time, and they go up because they have a plan of attack and plan of action. And their marketing saying, this is what's going to be in style, and this is what's going to be in the stores. And sometimes we're not current in our salons.
So we have another question. What would you recommend to salon owners who have independent stylists to have them pitch in? How do you get a team effort when everyone's doing their own thing and may not be willing to help?
Well, I think independence might be a way that they pay for their space. But I think the business as a whole, when everyone works there, has to come together and be a united front. I think it's necessary. And it might be something that, going forward, that the owner says, look, I might allow independence in here, but we all must carry and think and do united. Yes? I hope that answers it. They have to, or we look sloppy, or we look like, to me, have you ever gone into a antique store and they have all these little cubes? This is Ethel's Antiques that she's selling, and this is Mary's Antiques, and it just looks like a bad flea market. That's not what a salon wants to look like in the customer's eyes. They don't know that it's all independence in there. When they walk in the room, it looks like one business. So we're giving them permission to think we're sloppy or united. Is there any questions? Good. When we're thinking about timeline and everything we're getting accomplished, what I love about it is what do you want to be in 2015 in front of your customers? What do you want them to see from you? I know at PSC, what we've got going in 2015, technology is assisting us. We put technology in place in 2014 that's only going to help us serve our guests at PSC better in 2015, and constant improvements and upgrades and ideas from our staff to make us serve better. There always needs to be a reason for the upgrades. We're going to be putting in 2015 a theater that will hold 350 people. My job is to create the timeline of when that's going to take place financially, when we can do the build out and when we can have it, and what does it do to our soft costs when that happens, meaning chair rental and everything else will go away when the theater's done. All that has to be, when we give the go, let's begin, then we know, then we tell the other departments, this is how you'll utilize it, the theater when it's done, and what we won't have to do anymore once the theater is built. But all that will be on the timeline once we give the go. That's exciting. And the team wants to know, is PSC going to be a better version of itself in 2015 than it was in 2014? And then in 2016, what will be the better version of PSC again? We have a responsibility to be a better version of ourselves every year. And when you think about Ernie Banks again, and playing 18 years, professional athletes don't have an unlimited window of time to really excel at their craft because their body will give way before their love of the game will. Don't you love that hairdressing allows us to play the game for a very long time if we enjoy it? If you don't, then you shouldn't be here. But if you enjoy it and you want to be a better version of yourself, what are the things that you need to work on? What does the team need to work on in 2015 to be better and to better serve? To be better technically, better socially, better service-wise, better dialogue-wise, better professional savvy in 2015? What do we need to work on? I think that when we have business on purpose, and I get overwhelmed too. I think, my gosh, how are we going to get it all done? Well, a little bit at a time. Not every idea is going to get accomplished in January, but I've got a whole year to make a difference. So what do we want to get done? Now, let's talk about how do we create and how do we afford change. It doesn't cost a lot to shock your customers. Sometimes just moving our take-home around, or sometimes having our bulletin board of current, or sometimes us creating theme days in the salon, get their attention. They want you to be cutting edge, excuse the pun, but they want you to have fun with them. Have fun. Create a party environment. And sometimes we lose that. We don't have that all of the time. And I know even at PSC, I'll think, gosh, we haven't done anything in a while. Are we looking boring? Are we looking flatline? How do we bring up our fun factor? How do we play with our customers a little bit and get them involved with it? We're launching something tonight from 6 to 8 at PSC, and it's an open house celebration. And for those of you that are going to be there, welcome. But if not, hopefully we've got things that will attract you to be there next time with our photos. And sometimes we have great things and we don't even photograph it. So let's take photos of it and put it up there, an evening to remember. Or what we're calling them this year at PSC is hashtag PSC Magic Moments. And it's a way for us to reflect on things that we've done this year. One of my favorite things on the Today Show every year, at the end of the year, is they do all those memories from 2014, a year in review. I love that. I think all that happened this year. My goodness, our businesses could create a year in review too. A year in review. So this year we want to capture those moments. And then maybe we put that on a loop and thank everyone, the gratitude of helping us make 2014 special or 2015 special or so on and so forth. Anything else, Brian?
No questions as of right now.
Any questions from this group in here? Catherine, do you have any? What are you thinking about?
Just for us to come together as a team and to come up with our schedule and our calendar for the year. This is all in my head, but I don't have the time to write it out. The great part is I do have a team that is wanting to be a part of it and loves to do that kind of stuff. So I'm proud of that.
Isn't that going to be fun? And you put it all together?
Are you guys thought? Yeah.
Are you getting some good ideas? Trish, what are you thinking?
We're starting to restructure, so I'm still knowing what we're doing, and we do have it written down. Just a minute.
If you could kind of repeat, because they're not picking it up.
Oh, they're not picking up?
What everyone's saying.
Okay. So Catherine said first that she agrees. It's all in her head. Everything that she's doing is all in her head, and she knows she has a team that loves to work on these kind of projects. So we create the timeline together, and we write it all out, and then we play with it. And can it be changed? Sure, mine changes all the time, but at least I have where we think we're going. Last year when we launched a new software in order to service our guests better, it was called a Salesforce, and the launch date changed 3 times, I think.
At least.
Right? At least 3 times. But at least we knew what we had to do and everything that had to be in place prior to that. So you can negotiate a timeline, but it gives you a snapshot of what you're trying to create. Better version of ourselves and the commitment that we're delivering service to our customers. And who doesn't love that? Love that. Whether you do, one of the things that we were talking about on this timeline, what was our contest? We were thinking social. Brian and I were talking about this last night. So we were thinking, how about a before and after contest in April? Maybe our theme is cut it out, and then you do before and after contest, and you let the customers vote what was the best before and after. They vote. You don't have to vote, right? So we could do color selfies in May. We thought that was fun. We want everyone to do color selfies, post it to our Facebook page. So see how you can have fun with all this and let them involve. So it's a color selfie that month is our contest on social. So what's our in-salon class going to be? Color, right?
How about how to take a selfie?
Well, maybe how to take a selfie? Yeah, because I suck at that. Yeah, how to take a selfie would be really good. You have more questions? So when you look at what your theme is, so if you have a color selfie, I think we did that in May. Color Me Beautiful could be what we're doing, a whole campaign on Color Me Beautiful. We're going to offer new beverage service maybe in May, and maybe we name one of our beverages a color service, right? So you just have fun with it. You might have your beverages match your campaigns in your business. Remember Chrissy and I went into Nordstrom one time, and they were launching a brand new line at Nordstrom, and it was kind of, I think it was Jamaican or something. So what they have going on in their music? Jamaican music. They had Jamaican juice or iced tea, and everything was Jamaican. So by the time you were done, you were in. You know, I'm drinking, dancing. You know, not alcohol, but they created the environment. Right. So maybe sometimes when you do this theme, you might have different music that you're playing during that time. So you have, and don't let these young kids pick the music, yes, because we don't know what it means. So I love June's. I did the guest. It could all be about fancy. Maybe it's styles, and then we're going to do fancy pants. That's what we're going to do. Everything's about being fancy. And maybe we do a photo shoot as a team. You create your best customer, and you select them for photo shoot, and you find the customer that you want to have for the photo shoot. You can do it right in the salon. Our social campaign could maybe be one cut, 3 looks. So you create that. So have it all work together, all of it. And most of us have young people on staff that know social and are attracted to social and know what gets their attention socially better than someone my age. That's why we want them involved on the social side. Most of them, I mean, heck, Emma is better probably on the iPhone than I am, and she's 10. But they will give us the input necessary to attract our customers.
Question from Alex. Should we designate someone to hold us accountable to follow through with this, especially if you tend to be a procrastinator?
Oh, my goodness, procrastination. Number one, I would use our PSC consultants and say, look, keep me on track on this, and partner with us to help you. Also, there's something very magical when you have a timeline. You're staring right at it. You know, it's so funny. I say this in our family, but Christmas comes every year on the same date. And people always act shocked by it. Oh, my God, it's Christmas, like the date changed or something. It's Christmas. We know the tree needs to go up by when, but the presents need to be bought by when, but yet people are always shocked that it's the holiday, right? So if you read, did anyone ever read Martha Stewart's magazine? All right. She even puts on there when she's going to change her screens out. I mean, she drives me nuts. She's too organized. I'm going to put my tulip bulbs in here. I'm going to clean my screens here. I'm going to give the dogs a bath and go to the groomer here. And that's taking it too far. God bless her. That's what I want to be when I grow up. However, when you have a plan, and it could be spring clean, it could be inventory control, it could be everything that you need, those projects like change the screens. There's change the screens in businesses too. There's taking dogs to the groomer in business too, yet we miss them. And then we're irritated that we got behind the 8 ball. That's why your facility needs a schedule, your business items need a schedule, your customers need a schedule. It all works together. What else?
Is it for right now?
I'm hoping this first one, it's a little odd doing this first one, but I love this kind of stuff.
I think it's pretty good.
And when you meet with an owner and say, okay, what is your timeline? That's what I'm going to encourage our consultants to do, is say, what's your timeline for 2015? Ange, what are you thinking?
Well, being a consultant, on the other side of this, how do we, when you do that and you offer and encourage, I mean, I know you can lead a horse to water and you can't make them drink, but what are maybe some ways that you can really kind of change their thinking about doing it and get rid of the procrastination and let us partner with them and help them?
Okay.
I'm running into that.
All right, so good question. Could you hear that one all right, I hope?
I think so.
I was almost sitting on her lap. Okay. I think a couple of things. Maybe we don't take every one of these categories. Maybe we just take services and guests. If you do all of these, it might scare them half to death. But if we say, okay, owner, what do you think you can handle? What can we bite size? And maybe it's facility. Maybe some of them have just the wrong layout that doesn't maximize their productivity. They might need to add some stations, or they might need to change the way their take-home looks. When do you want to get take-home done by? March 1st. Good. I'll come in on this day and help you. One bite at a time. Give them a topic. What are you comfortable with? Where can you start? Because remember, many of the owners on this call are carrying the business. When do they have time to do more than that? And the area that we can help them with and take some pressure off of them is where you need to start. Where will the pressure be best taken off of you? And they might say, my take-home area. Terrific. Let's get involved. And are they easy to do business with? And we have to be very honest with we have to be very honest with them, because sometimes they don't even have time to identify the weaknesses. 2 minutes? I think we're done.
Okay.
It was a joy. Was this a good, fun one to start with? And think about the ideas of what you want. And you look at next December and say, we accomplished all that. We did that as a team. We celebrated. We created this new version of ourselves. It took a collective effort. And I'm sure you'll make it look easier than it is. I'm not saying this is easy. But the alternative not to do it, that's not easy too. Right? They're both not easy. So with that, thank you for the first e-learning. They'll get better as we go. I'll get more organized. Not organized, but trying to get my mind wrapped around e-learning, because it's very hard. That's why I want to do the first one at Catherine in front of someone.
Because it's different.
It is different. It is. Good? Farewell, everyone. Cheers to 2015. Thank you, Brian.